Let's talk about Barbara O'Neill. She's an Australian health educator whose popularity has just exploded online. But she's also, without a doubt, one of the most controversial figures in the entire wellness space. So today, we're going to really dig into the single teaching that not only put her on the map, but also led to some serious official consequences. Her very unique and scientifically unsupported paradigm on cancer.
Okay, so everything, and I mean everything, she teaches really comes down to this one single idea. This is the absolute heart of her self-heal by design philosophy. The way she sees it, it's actually pretty simple. Your body isn't some fragile machine just waiting to break down. Instead, it's this incredibly intelligent system that is always striving for health. And the only thing getting in its way, she argues, is, well, us. So if we're going to get our heads around her really explosive claims about cancer, we have to start right here, with this foundational worldview. O'Neill wants us to stop seeing the body as just a collection of parts, and instead see it as this single dynamic ecosystem, which she calls an internal terrain that is governed by a set of unbreakable natural laws. So, in her world, getting sick, it's not some random accident, not just bad luck. It is pure cause and effect. She sees symptoms and diseases as the body's logical, even intelligent responses to an environment that's out of whack. We create the conditions, and the body simply reacts. Which leads to the big question, right? What is actually governing this internal terrain? Okay, let's get into the weeds here. According to O'Neill, our internal ecosystem is basically managed by two key forces: the huge world of microorganisms that live inside of us, and a simple rulebook that she calls the 8 laws of health. Now, this is where you really see the big reframe she's doing. Mainstream medicine often sees these organisms as potential enemies, as invaders. O'Neill presents them as the body's dedicated janitorial staff. In her view, they aren't the problem, they're the response to a problem. Yeast only shows up because there's too much sugar to clean up. Bacteria arrive to dismantle weak cells. This idea that they're responders, not aggressors, is absolutely critical to understanding her whole theory on cancer. And this is the toolkit she offers for managing that internal environment the right way. The claim is, if you follow these 8 laws, you're creating a pristine internal terrain. And a body in this state is so balanced and healthy that the janitors, the bacteria, yeast, and fungi, well, they just have very little work to do, and everything stays in order. Okay, so now we get to the absolute heart of it, the teaching known as Module 8. This is where her philosophy gets translated into a very specific, very radical theory of cancer. She presents it as the ultimate consequence of an internal terrain that's been neglected for way too long. And it's this module, Module 8, that drew the most intense fire from health authorities. So here it is, the central claim. And it's a huge one. And it's completely unproven by science. O'Neill basically argues that cancer isn't the complex genetic disease we understand it to be. No, she redefines it as a simple invader, a fungus. And according to her, this fungus can only take root and grow when we create the perfect home for it, a body that's acidic, starved of oxygen, and flooded with its favorite food, sugar. Okay, so let's break down the step-by-step process she lays out, because this is the key to her whole theory. She claims a fungal spore can literally hijack one of our cells, merging its DNA to create a whole new hybrid entity. This mutated cell, she says, then makes a critical switch. It stops using oxygen and starts fermenting sugar for energy instead. The problem is, this fermentation process releases lactic acid as a waste product, which then makes the surrounding tissue even more acidic. It's a perfect feedback loop for the fungus to expand its territory, all while being cleverly disguised from our own immune system. You can see how this works, right? If you buy into the idea that cancer is just a sugar-hungry fungus living in an acid swamp, then her proposed treatment is the only logical next step. Her entire protocol is designed to do just 2 things: turn that acidic swamp into a clean, alkaline environment, and completely cut off the fungus's food supply. And this diet, wow, it's the bedrock of her whole protocol. And it is seriously strict. The goal is total glucose deprivation. We're not just talking about cutting out cookies and bread. This means eliminating all sugars, including from most fruits, and basically anything that converts to sugar in the body. The other part of the strategy is to actively fight back by eating foods she claims are highly alkalizing to systematically raise the body's pH and make that internal terrain totally hostile to the alleged fungus. And this quote right here, this really captures her most controversial therapeutic claim. She's not talking about baking soda as some gentle supplement. No, she presents it as a direct chemical weapon. The theory is that a dose of highly alkaline sodium bicarbonate can rush to the acidic site of a tumor and deliver a literal shockwave that these mutated fungal cells just can't survive. And, as you'll see, this specific claim had major consequences.
So, as you can probably guess, making these kinds of specific, unproven claims and presenting them as a viable alternative to conventional cancer treatment, well, that did not go unnoticed by health authorities. The backlash was official, it was severe, and it was very, very public.
After a really thorough investigation, an Australian health commission came back with a pretty damning verdict. They officially concluded that O'Neill's advice had no scientific basis and actually posed a significant risk to public health, especially because she was allegedly encouraging very vulnerable people to ditch proven medical treatments.
And the final outcome? A lifetime ban. The commission specifically pointed to her teachings on curing cancer with baking soda as a primary example of dangerous misinformation. This led directly to her being permanently barred from providing any health services at all in Australia, whether she charged for them or not.
And really, this brings us right back to the central conflict here, doesn't it? Barbara O'Neill's message of self-empowerment clearly resonates with a lot of people, especially those who feel let down by the conventional system. But, at the same time, health authorities have made it crystal clear they see her unproven protocols not as empowering, but as genuinely dangerous. It forces all of us to ask a really critical question. In an age of infinite information, who gets to draw that line?